In recent years, China has constructed what are known as ghost cities, which are communities with thousands of abandoned structures or with a population count that is significantly lower than what was anticipated. It would appear that China is currently engaged in the construction of further phantom projects, but this time they are located throughout Africa, Europe, and Asia. Why is China spending money on empty African infrastructure? The New Silk Road Initiative, what's it all about? Consequently, the questions that need to be asked are as follows. Why did China give up on these projects in the middle of nowhere? What is the purpose of the program known as the New Silk Road? And why is China now experiencing the repercussions of the measures it has implemented? Hi guys, welcome to our channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about amazing mega projects are being constructed all over the world thanks to China's involvement. So stay with us till the end of this video so you don't miss out on any of this information. But before we proceed, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell symbol so that you don't miss out on any of our wonderful videos in the future. And let's get started. China is the world's largest developing country. Africa has the most. China and Africa are linked due to shared experiences and ambitions. China and Africa share a future. China's foreign policy is based on developing solidarity and collaboration with African countries. China and African countries fought together for national liberation and independence, building political trust. Both sides are aiding each other with economic progress and national rebirth. They've synchronized their positions on significant international and regional problems to promote equality and justice. Chinese President Xi Jinping charted the road for China's collaboration with Africa and provided the fundamental parameters. He emphasized sincerity, actual results, amity and good faith, and seeking the greater good and common interests. The 2015 Johannesburg Summit and 2018 Beijing Summit of FOCAC pushed China-Africa cooperation to a new level. At the FOCAC Beijing Summit, President Xi Jinping and African leaders agreed to construct a stronger China-Africa community of shared future and advanced Belt and Road Initiative cooperation, creating a new milestone in China-Africa ties. China-Africa friendship was not instantaneous nor divinely bestowed. China and Africa have supported and stood by one another through the years. China has helped Africa develop to the best of its abilities and is grateful for the long-term support and selflessness of African countries and peoples. Since the COVID-19 outbreak began, China and African countries have provided reciprocal support, establishing a new chapter in China-Africa unity and friendship. Chinese construction companies have cornered a significant portion of the market in a variety of emerging countries, possibly most significantly in African nations. They were responsible for 31% of all building projects in Africa in 2020 that had a value of $50 million or more, according to one estimation. China is providing a lot more cash for public-private infrastructure partnerships than Western development finance institutions, not to mention the country's considerable lending towards public infrastructure, which is one reason why this may be the case. As Nancy Lee and Mauricio Cardenas-Gonzalez point out, this is in addition to the fact that China is lending a significant amount of money toward public infrastructure. In 2020, it is possible that China provided only 15% of the overall financing for all of the significant construction projects in the region. Other theories for China's dominance in the construction industry revolve around governance, with allegations of bribery payments and diplomatic pressure being leveled against Chinese officials. However, a significant portion of the rationale for China's outsized participation could be that the nation's construction companies are simply very competitive with one another. This shouldn't come as much of a surprise, given the following facts. China has its businesses still have significantly lower labor costs than firms based in high-income countries, and many of the construction companies based in high-income countries have experienced pretty dismal productivity growth over the past few decades. The data on construction projects awarded by the World Bank provides evidence that points to a benign explanation for being at least largely responsible for the global dominance of Chinese construction companies. When the bank provides financing for significant contracts, it adheres to a set of norms for procurement that prioritize openness and competition. Not enough, but some. The restrictions are far from flawless, but they do appear to be at least somewhat effective in lowering the chance that projects will be awarded to the parties with the most connections or those who are most prepared to bribe. And this is why it is interesting to see what has transpired with civil works contracts that were sponsored by the World Bank throughout the course of time. In 2001 and later, and concerns World Bank financed contracts that were awarded to bidders based in countries other than those from whom the money was borrowed to finance the contracts. The data does not include a contract that was awarded as part of a World Bank project in Brazil and was won by a Brazilian firm. However, the data does include a contract that was awarded as part of a World Bank project in Brazil and was won by a firm based in the US, China, or South Korea. Particularly in the field of civil works, Chinese contractors are accounting for an increasingly significant amount of the overall value of World Bank contracts awarded to international bidders. It is important to note that this is not the result of an unfair advantage provided by Chinese finance. The projects are, for the most part, sponsored by recipient governments and the World Bank, and the bids were, for the most part, granted following competitive procurement techniques. It is also important to investigate what has transpired with regard to World Bank-financed contracts that were won by contractors from countries other than the recipient country and that did not involve the construction of public works, but rather involved the sale of goods and other contracts, primarily services including consultancies. There, the distribution of international suppliers has managed to keep a far greater diversity throughout time. In the realm of civil works, China does not hold nearly the preeminent position that it does. Again, this could be due to the fact that the nation now has a competitive advantage in the construction industry, which is something that residents of Shanghai are likely already aware of. That doesn't mean everything is hunky-dory, though. Wherever Chinese money is involved, there must be a great deal more openness, and all building contracts ought to adhere to certain quality, social, and environmental criteria, while also providing means for the expansion of the local industry. However, more infrastructure is required in Africa, and Chinese companies appear to be capable of constructing this infrastructure more quickly and at a lower cost than their foreign competitors. Absolute poverty is no longer a concern in China's history, and the country has reached a level of wealth that is moderate across the board. It has started a new journey with the goal of transforming China into a modern socialist country by 2049, which is the year that the People's Republic of China would celebrate its 100th anniversary. The continent of Africa is currently undergoing a rising tide of self-strengthening and unity, and the continent's influence in the realm of international affairs is continuing to expand. It is currently pushing on with the development of free trade zones, advancing industrialization and modernization, and going towards the bright future envisioned in the African Union's Agenda 2063. The globe is currently seeing a scale of deep change that has not been experienced in a century. China and Africa will continue to increase their solidarity with one another and their collaboration in the face of new possibilities and challenges. China is committed to continuing its unwavering support for African countries as they pursue the paths of development best suited to their individual national conditions, as well as to advancing the integration of Africa and protecting the sovereignty, security, and development interests of African nations. China will collaborate with African nations to advance the Belt and Road Initiative, create an even more robust China-Africa community of shared future, and bring additional benefits to the people of both China and Africa. In doing so, China will make a greater contribution to long-term world peace and prosperity, as well as to a global community that has a shared future. And that's it for today, guys. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please click on the like button and share it with your friends and family. If you have any questions or comments, please share them with us in the comment space below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see even more of our incredible videos. And we will see you in the next one. You can also check out our other videos that have been specially selected for you. We'll catch up in the next video.